Tribulation Time is a kind of all-purpose protest song for when you're fed up about your own life and annoyed about what's going on around you. And it's got a kind of New Orleans marching band vibe. And words are kind of saying, I'm just saying don't pay no mind, is acknowledging that other people don't necessarily want to hear you going on about this stuff because they're hunkered down in their own trenches dealing with their own stuff.
Don't pay no mind, I'm just saying, don't pay no mind, it's tribulation time.
Everybody knows there's a bunch of things that everyone knows about life, and sane people just get along with it knowing these things. And they include that life isn't always going to be fair. Some people can't deal with this at all, can't accept it. Some people even think you can pass laws to make things fair, but of course what's fair for one person ain't necessarily fair for another.
You ride your luck runs out sometimes, everybody knows, that's the way it goes.
Passing through is about being an observer, as I have been a lot on the road, going around seeing snapshots of life, people, places, relationships, episodes. Seeing them but not judging them, because of course you don't get the full story. But then who does get the full story about anything? And in a way, we're all observers passing through.
On the street of 1,000 souls, there are so many stories told.
Club of Lost Souls is a song about loss, the loss of someone or something that can make you feel that you've come off your moorings, that there's no security anymore, and that you're just kind of floating around, not sure how to cope with it all. It can happen to anyone, at any time, of course. This feeling of being lost because of a loss.
Clouds have opened, who will keep me out the rain? And when I'm on the ceiling, who will get me down again?
Toolmakers Blues is a song that's very relevant today, sadly, with the situation so many of us are in. It's about what can happen when your whole way of life suddenly changes because your way of earning a living ceases to exist. It's happened many, many times over the ages to many, many people in countless places. Whole industries suddenly vanish, and people don't see it coming. It's a great shock to them, understandably. And suddenly, everything's gone. I got the idea for this song from a conversation I had at the end of a gig that I did, where a young American bloke came up to me, told me the story of his father, who was a toolmaker in Detroit and lost his job and lost everything when the car industry collapsed in 2008. And he asked me if I knew what a toolmaker was, and I said yes, I did, because we come from Coventry, and when I was growing up there was a whole row of toolmakers factories there, sadly all long gone. And this is what can happen to people, and it's happening now, unfortunately, to a great many people who are wondering, how can you be a toolmaker when nobody's buying tools?
Wants to use, because one man's pile of garbage is another man's trove of jewels. How can you be a toolmaker when nobody's buying tools?
The Last Bus Home is an instrumental. We tend to have one on each album. This time it's on the 12 string. And I always name the instrumentals after things and places when I was growing up in Coventry. And this one's about the last bus home on a Friday or Saturday night from the centre of town at 11 o'clock, when people had all been in town and been to the pubs, and it was a joyous sound on that bus, a babble of optimism and booze, not necessarily in that order. Saying Rhodes is about being stuck in a dull and repetitive life and wanting to break out of it but not being able to. Though of course there are far worse kinds of life you can have.
I've been walking down the same roads for so long.
Wheels Going Round is an imagined life story life for, I guess, ordinary folk, working class people. And it goes from a kind of wild youth to adulthood and maturity and responsibility and duty and doing what you have to do. And this was what life was always like for those people before the invention of happiness, which came along a couple of decades ago and caused quite a lot of trouble. And of course it's the same, in fact, for most people these days. An awful lot of people live lives like the one described here, even though it's an imagined one from the past.
Fancy that, out on the town in a fancy hat. Look in the mirror, there's a real cool cat. Oh, what's that sound? Oh, it's the wheels going round.
Skip song is about what it's like if people have a romanticized or idealized view of your life. And it's possibly that doesn't bear any resemblance to the reality of your life as far as you're concerned. And it was inspired by the great early blues artist Skip James, who, when he was rediscovered in the 1960s, was a very bitter man about how his life had gone. But he got to play to young, enthusiastic white audiences who had a very romantic idea of what a bluesman's life was like. So the song is imagining what might have been going through his mind as he played to those audiences.
From another world, I've been in my place. I had a different life. It's all in my face. Look and see.
Better Day is a view of life from the point of view of the non-privileged. We might need a new definition of privilege now. It seems to me that an awful lot of people claim not to have privileges when in fact they're very privileged indeed. But lots and lots of people have no privilege at all. They don't always wallow in misery. A great blues artist, Doug MacLeod, likes to say blues is about overcoming adversity, not wallowing in it. And that's what an awful lot of people are doing, struggling to overcome adversity and have some optimism. And the song has an optimistic message from that point of view, that maybe better day will come.
Watching how the rich folk break the law, watching everyone steal from the poor.
I'm Damned is a sing-along song with a jolly tune and a less than jolly message, which I guess is characteristic of what I do. Everyone has this feeling. Whatever you do, however hard you try, you just can't win.
Well, I built that shack, but the shack fell down. Wound up sleeping on the ground. Oh, now, what you gonna do? I'm no stranger to futility. We're old friends, that thing and me. Oh, now, what you gonna do? Give that coin a spin. No way I gonna win. 'Cause I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.